Welcome to the 245 podcast, which is the number of books in the Bible. Do you guys know that?
That's actually
really, Mike.
That's incorrect.
Oh,
Is it? Is it? I don't know.
Our guest would know because here on the podcast we have me, Micah. We have Joey Ritzma right
Let's
here.
go.
Josh on the phone.
Nope.
And we have a guest. Our old high school Bible teacher, Mr. Schumann. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
Good. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Have you ever done anything like this before? Been on a podcast? Been on the radio? Anything like that?
I run a podcast at our church actually.
Actually?
Yeah. It's not as near as cool as this one, but we do one for parenting, and we do one for like the men of our church.
What church is this at?
City's Church.
City's Church.
Down in St. Paul, down by McAllister College.
I've heard of it.
Yeah,
It's a church plant of Bethlehem Baptist Church.
Oh, nice, nice. How long have you been working there for?
I've been a member there for 6 years. I've
Okay.
been working there for about 2.
Okay.
So
So the podcast is parenting, and then what was the other one?
yeah, the first one's called Parenting in Progress. So it's for parents, just a bunch of different subjects within parents. And the second one is called Lead Your Family.
Okay.
So it's particular for husbands and fathers, but just men in general who aspire to one day have a family.
Oh, that's pretty
That
cool.
sounds really cool.
Yeah.
You
I
guys
feel
should
like
listen to it.
I should listen
Yeah.
to it. I feel like more churches should do podcasts and stuff like that because it's just a great way that, like, when people are just driving to work, they can just like learn more about Jesus, make changes to their lives, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's really helpful.
Yeah.
But not only are you our former high school Bible teacher at Avail Academy High School, you also are an adjunct professor here.
Yeah.
You teach a couple classes. We actually have a few friends in your classes.
Uh-oh.
Um,
Who are they?
That we have told repeatedly to tell you that they know us.
No one has ever
They have
made
not done
mention of any of you.
So
before.
in one class, as
Granted,
our
I don't
friends-
let students talk in class. So.
We've heard that.
No
We've
talking.
heard that.
Wait, are you serious?
We've heard
Yeah.
some things.
Yeah.
Wait, what have you heard?
Well, we hear that it's a lot of like you lecturing and there's not a ton of like interaction between students.
Yeah.
And then last night I found one of your syllabi. Yeah.
Syllabus.
I
like wheels and
I found one because I had a friend that was in the class and it was like a thing that was like distracting behavior will not be tolerated or something like
That's
that.
right.
Yeah. So you do
Yeah.
do you run a pretty strict classroom?
I try to.
Yeah.
Hey, the thing is, people are paying for this class.
Yeah.
I want to get their money's worth.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's
So do the names Ava and Kelsey cross your mind at all?
I'd have to get last names.
Ava Whitcomb,
Okay.
Kelsey Reynolds.
Okay.
They always sit together. I don't know what time. You know what time the class?
I don't know it. No, it's the 1050.
They're
It's
in
the class you
1050,
just came
the one
from.
you just came out of.
Yeah, Life of Christ class.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. So
Is that the only class you teach, or do you teach how many?
I teach Christian Thinking and Living,
Okay.
morning class, and then Life of Christ.
okay.
Really, every semester, basically, I just get an email from the Bible department saying, hey, we have these courses open. These are the times. Which are the ones you want to teach? And with my current schedule, I'd love to teach more, but two are the most I can kind of fit in before I go to my full-time job at Cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love
So-
to teach more.
How long have you been teaching? Like, have you enjoyed it? Like, how long have you been teaching at Northwestern? Do
Yeah.
you enjoy it? What stuff you don't like that you would change?
I was teaching at Northwestern when I was teaching you guys.
Oh, okay.
So I was
I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I went to school for. Now, it was K through 8 education. That's what I studied, largely just because I didn't have like a certain subject matter I wanted to focus on. And I wanted to be a lot of elementary schools, there's very few male teachers, so I wanted to be just a good male role model to young kids. So I've been teaching, since, college, post-college. But I've been teaching at Northwestern here, I think, since spring of 17.
Okay.
So,
And was there like
almost
a little
6
break
years?
in there somewhere? I feel like
Yeah, I didn't
you stopped teaching here.
I
for a
didn't
little bit.
when I stopped teaching you guys is when I stopped teaching here too. So I just stopped teaching cold turkey.
Okay.
I was largely it was largely due to we had Caleb, our second, and then the pandemic, and then Elizabeth, our third. And so,
Wait, you have another kid now?
yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
I
we have
didn't know
three.
that.
Yeah,
Okay, so when was she born?
would have been last October 28. So she's what, 15 months, 16 months now.
Wow.
So yeah, so this is my first semester back in probably 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Crazy.
so it's been a lot of the Bible courses have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
So
They
that's
changed the
kinda-
curriculum a little
Yeah,
bit.
that's been interesting, but it's been fun. All the same people I used to see a couple years ago are still here, so it almost feels like I never left in some ways. But yeah,
Well, I remember because you came around third or second semester of our sophomore year of high school.
That's right.
To teach. You were there for a couple weeks, and then your kid was born.
that's right.
So then you were gone for a little bit.
Yeah.
So you came and then left like after 2 weeks, and then you eventually came back. But
Yeah.
is that when we had JT step in? Was that when he?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, he did a few
So-
classes in there.
Yeah. So that was fun, but
Yeah.
it was good to. It was really fun to have you in high school.
I still
really
have a picture.
enjoyed-
I still have a picture of you guys your sophomore year.
Oh yeah, because you took pictures of us. To
Oh, yeah.
learn
Well,
our names.
I wanted to remember your names. Yeah, it was a lot of people to know, to kind of learn all at once. So it's just saved on my Google. I have like a Google Drive for like a teaching folder, and so I got pictures of you guys. It is blackmail. It is. So
good to
just
know.
keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So
Do you know or remember at all? The class under us when you took their picture.
yeah.
Two of the guys switched names when you asked for everyone's names.
Yeah. Yeah.
so that
yeah,
you would
yeah.
learn them wrong.
Yeah.
I think it was Isaiah and one of the Josiahs.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And
No
and
way.
that continued until junior year. Like I still continued to get them incorrect.
So they permanently like messed you
Yeah,
up.
it's kind of the thing. It's like, oh, we'll play this joke. Well, hey guys, if you're listening, joke's on you. I'm still getting your name. No, yeah. So that kind of messed me up. I mean, in general, I'm very bad with names. Their names are very similar. They all hang out together.
Yeah.
So that was a tough one. So, but yeah.
That's really funny. I don't even remember like holding. Do we hold stuff like hold cards with our names on it? How did that work?
No, I think you took the picture and then wrote down on a piece of paper in like the order we were
Made
standing.
like a little grid.
So you could hand it. You could have them next to each other,
Yep.
and they like swapped their names when you asked for everyone's names. So
Yeah.
you learned them in the wrong order.
Yeah. That's exactly right. I once introduced two people to each other using the wrong name for both of them.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was standing right in front of them, and I can't remember. I know their names now, obviously, but I said like, "Hey, Amanda, do you know Julie?" And it's like they totally ignored me. They didn't even like acknowledge I was there. And then eventually, like a couple seconds go by, and they look at me, and they're like, "Oh, actually, my name is Rebecca." And the other one was like, "Yeah, and my name's Mary." Well, hey, you know each other now. I mean, successful mission, like it,
Yeah.
job completed. So, yeah, that was
Do you remember teaching our class? Like, what was your
yes, of
impression?
course I do.
We were your favorite class, right?
Teachers don't have favorite classes. We've
No,
been over
that's
this.
no, that's a lie, Josh.
No, it's
Each
not.
Mr.
class-
Teen said we were his favorite.
Each class has something that I really enjoy and appreciate about them.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Just listen. As parents, you love all your kids. You love them different. You love them uniquely, but you love them all the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same deal. So
People
I'll say I really enjoyed your class a lot.
But like off the record, like ours is the best.
We're very much on the record right now. Like I'm being recorded. You can't just say off the record. Like there's a meaning behind that phrase.
No, it's fine. We'll cut this part out off the record.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
right, Joey?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, we'll cut it.
Sure you will.
Wink,
Sure you will.
wink.
Hey Josh, your brother's coming to my small group now.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
I knew he was going to cities, and then I was talking to my parents, and they said he had joined your small group, and he was doing something else at cities too, I think. But yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
What
kind of
what is that like, and when does that meet and stuff?
Well, it's like 245 miles away from you, Josh.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it might be a bit of a commute. we meet together. We talk about evangelism together, and we do sermon anticipation. So a lot of small groups, they talk about like the sermon, post-sermon. What we'll get the text ahead of time. This is what the pastor is going to preach on, and we'll try to dissect it together, and then kind of go into Sunday and wondering, hey, is he going to say this? Is he going to talk about this? It's kind of fun.
It's like a bingo game. Like,
hey, I said that.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah. Or sometimes we get it totally wrong, and then we can learn.
you guys should make
that's-
cards, like,
Bingo cards.
Yeah, that could. I'm sure there's a church somewhere in the world that probably does something.
Probably does bingo.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about like what's your role at the church?
Yeah.
And like maybe just like walk us through like a normal week. Like what do you spend your time doing?
Yeah, that sounds good. So first, I'll say, I teach here Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I try to wrap everything up while I'm here. So prep, grading, all of that. As far as cities, I'm one of the pastors there, so I think we have 9 pastors now. And the thing we try to do as a team, we have a lead pastor, but we try to really focus on a camaraderie of pastors, shared leadership. So our main pastor preaches maybe 24 weeks out of the year. And then the rest of us share the pulpit. I mean, we try to preach every once in a while. So first and foremost, I'm one of the pastors. So I pastor people. What's the job of the pastor? Job of the pastor is to help sheep grow in love and likeness to the true great shepherd. That's my job. But within kind of like a more specific realm, I do a lot of stuff with family ministry, children ministry, and youth, or what we call student ministry. So the podcast kind of goes along with that. I help with a lot of Sunday school stuff. Try to get a lot of resources to parents and all of that. And then a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, just helping with counseling situations or new members to our church, that kind of thing. I'm kind of like in baseball. You have like your third baseman, you have your second baseman, you have your pitcher, and then you have your utility guy. And your utility guy is basically like, hey, I can kind of do whatever you need. Just let me fill a need. Let me kind of be there for what needs to happen. Nothing special about this guy. He just he's there. He's willing. That's kind of my role. So
nice. So it's kind of interesting to me because like in that role you wear like a lot of different hats and do stuff, but also like you teach at college. So it seems like you're doing so many different things. Like do you enjoy that, having just doing a little bit of like everything rather than being like super specific in one role?
Yeah, it's hard. The grass is always greener, right? You always think I'm doing this, but this is what I really want to do. So it's hard what I love to do is I love to teach. I love to just look at the Bible and think about how can I help someone like understand what's going on. A lot of what I do for the church is not that. A lot of it is emails, detail stuff, almost like administrative stuff. And so I have a balance right now of teaching and administrative. And in my mind, I think I just want to do teaching constantly. Well, maybe if I was given that, maybe I wouldn't like it. Maybe I would look back on this and think, actually, that was the right setup. A little bit of a balance of both. So it's hard to say. I would say I rarely have days where I'm bored, which is nice. I like to kind of have a good, fast clip to the day. I like to be doing a lot of different things. And so that's enjoyable. It's harder for me if there's not as much going on.
Oh, it was your turn to ask a question.
Oh, am I asking a question?
Yeah.
Do you guys pre-write questions or do you just kind of go for it?
We have some questions, but
what is this if I were to say, hey, like, what is this? What is your podcast about? What would you say?
I would say it's about whatever we want to talk about.
Okay.
Yep. Whatever's relevant at the time of our lives in the world or in our personal lives. We've kind of done both. So
okay.
Last week we talked about Chat GPT. I don't know if you've heard of that.
So okay. Yes. So we have like a pastor's text thread, and
It can write your sermons for you. You know that.
Yeah. So Chat GPT. Do you want to explain that to me? I don't do acronyms, so you just got to help me here.
Josh, what does it stand for?
I don't even remember. I think generated something.
Transformer. The T is transformer.
Okay.
We know that.
It's generative pre-trained transformer.
It just is like it's like Google on steroids combined with AI.
So like Ask Jeeves.
What?
Nothing. You guys know what Ask Jeeves is?
No.
No,
what is
what's
that?
that?
You don't know what Ask Jeeves is?
No. What is it?
It's like a search engine. It's just like what people used before Google was like awesome.
Oh, I don't know about
I
that.
didn't
Ask Jeeves. Yeah. Like, should I Google this? Should I ask Jeeves this? Josh, do you know what Ask Jeeves is?
I hadn't heard of it, but yeah, it's definitely a thing. It's now ask.com, I think.
Oh, okay.
Ask.com.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny because that's what we did our last podcast on, and now
Yeah,
it seems
for
like everyone is talking about it. So
Yeah.
I think we just set trends. I think that's what our podcast
Yeah,
is
Okay,
about.
that's
definitely.
It's
that's
where we want the people to go. That's what we talk about.
yeah.
So we want people to go to church. So we're talking to you.
Yeah, that's how we're talking to you.
Yeah. You know what was a great hairstyle?
What?
Was
What?
the mullet.
He's
We're
trying to bring it
setting
back.
trends, guys.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was really confused there for a moment.
It's a
Mr.
great
Schumann,
it's-
this is not what people need to hear right now. Enough people are doing it already, and I'm not a fan.
Josh is not a fan of the mullet.
I could see how Josh would not be a huge fan of that.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what our podcast is about. Is whatever we want.
Great.
It's more for ourselves. We can have like a time capsule of
Oh, that's really cool.
us interacting. So when we're old and have dementia, we can, remember each other and remember our high school years.
Honestly,
and,
guys, I think that's really cool. I just truly, I think your guys' friendship is really something that's unique. Just the fact that you're still like, I noticed it in high school. You guys just had such a sweet group, just a good group, and just in general, males struggle with friendship.
yeah,
Increasingly so as you get older and you get married and you have kids. Men more and more become islands to themselves, and that's not good. So it's really sweet that you guys have been able to maintain your friendship post high school, even with Josh descending into.
245
Descending
miles
into the
away.
abyss.
I was gonna say that, but yeah,
Yeah, this is my excuse to get to talk to my friends.
That's
every
great.
week,
Yeah.
so it's a
We
pretty
talked
good
way
deal.
more this year since we've started this to Josh than we did last year. So
Really?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
and like before, it was just like kind of like, how was your week? Like updates on each other.
Yeah,
And now we have like actual like conversations with each other,
That's
like
awesome.
and with Josh, and it's a good way to stay connected. I don't know how long it'll go, but we're still going strong. We're almost half of a year. I think this is episode 22.
Are you serious?
So once we hit 26, that'll be half a year.
So I was the 22nd person on your list.
No. Okay.
we don't
gotta
have
be-
guests every week.
Yeah, we gotta be very clear. We haven't had guests in a while.
Yeah.
But do you know President Hornbeak's gonna come on? So that'll be pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean you're obviously way cooler than that, but he's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
He'll
Yeah,
be
I'll
on.
say I've not met him, but that'll be cool. I'll
Yeah.
listen to that. That's
Yeah.
See you in a couple weeks. So
Yep.
Mr. Schumann, I do think you were one of the first people like on our guest list.
Yeah.
We just didn't make a effort to contact you right
Yeah.
away.
yeah.
But you were on the initial list of like people we want to talk to eventually.
That means a lot.
Yeah.
Josh, I appreciate you saying.
Yeah, we have a bunch of Avail teachers. You, Mr. Teen, we had on.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
We're working on getting Mr. V on here, and
yeah.
and
Mr.
Mr.
Clemens.
Clemens.
You get Mr.
hopefully.
Clemens. You guys know I see Mr. Clemens almost every day.
What?
Our kids go to the same school right now.
Oh,
Oh, they both go
yeah,
to
so
Liberty.
we do
That's
parent
cool.
Wait,
drop-off.
wait, your kids go to Liberty?
Yeah. Well, Lydia does. Yeah.
Traitor.
enemy school.
Forgive me.
You need to understand that because of the sports rivalry, we aren't fans of Liberty, but I think it's a great school now that I know more about it, and I don't really care about high school sports anymore.
It is a
so.
great school.
The word for that, Josh, would be maturity.
Oh my word.
Joey is
my
obviously
word.
not bad.
I have one high school logo stuck to my car. It's not Liberty.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you. Thank you.
That's good.
Granted, I can't.
Joey's faith has been
I can't
restored.
really get it off.
That explains it.
I
That's
still
the
have
real
my
reason
Bethel
it's still
parking
there.
sticker on there from about a decade ago.
Yeah, I need to try to get my parking permit from last year off my car because I don't want that on there forever. So
Yeah.
You figure it out.
yeah.
So anyways, yeah, I see Mr. Clemens about every day. So I'll tell him about the podcast. See if you
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
Yeah.
we gotta email him.
You can put in a good word for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
say you had like it was the most like
Fun.
fun you've ever had.
Ever.
Yeah, ever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or just tell the truth.
Just tell the
It was the most fun podcast I've ever done at the Mel.
Yes.
With
See,
these
that's,
boys.
Yeah, that's marketed very
Yeah.
well. Very truthful, and
Yeah.
still makes us look good. Mr. Schumann, I had a question because I feel like when you came to Avail, we obviously didn't know you very well, and I haven't heard, other than you're working at Northwestern, I don't know where you went to college. You said, I actually didn't know you studied like K-8 education, so that was new to me.
Yeah.
But where did you go to college? Now we know what you did, but like, did you like your college experience, and what was it like? Because that's kind of the stage we're in.
Yeah, it's a good question. I actually like talking about that. So I went to, a little bit of a backup. So I went to public school, Josh. I think maybe you knew that. So I was a
Yeah,
pony.
I think you did tell us that.
Yeah, so I was a pony. I went to Stillwater.
Mm.
Interestingly enough, when you're in Stillwater, you don't recognize like you're a pony. You're like just like, yeah, we're ponies, of course. And then you get outside of Stillwater, and like, oh, I was a pony. So, anyways,
Agreed.
I went to public school, and then when I graduated, I had become a Christian. Like my junior year, pretty fresh, pretty green to what Christianity was. Hadn't really read much of the Bible, didn't really know much. I went to St. Thomas because I wanted to go to a Christian school, and from you can look at St. Thomas a certain way, and it looks like a religious school. So I enrolled there and found out, this feels just like high school. So I was looking at between Northwestern and Bethel. Bethel had a lacrosse team. Northwestern did not.
Oh,
We do now.
I know. My brother had transferred the year before from Stout to go to Bethel. And he's like, hey, if you come here, we can be on the same lacrosse team. I think it'd be a good school. So I transferred to Bethel. And some parts of me think, maybe I would have been a better fit at Northwestern. You know what, though? The Lord really used my time at Bethel. I can't really recall a lot of classes I took. I didn't take a lot of the Bible courses because I transferred in. So I didn't have to take the normal ones that freshmen are required. But I'd say at Bethel was the first time I'd ever been in a Christian community. Like I actually had Christian friends, and I look back on it and I see a lot of immaturity that we had, a lot of things that were probably just not befitting a Christian life, and yet there were a lot of real things that were going on as well. Like we had real deep moments in prayer, real moments in the Word. And I think it's good to be able to look back on things that were imperfect and give God glory and thanks for the parts of it that were good and just learn from the parts of it that weren't. And so, I know some people say, Bethel's this way, Bethel's that way. I don't know. I haven't been there in a decade. But I will say that I think the Lord really used my time there and was able to grow. So I studied education there. I knew I wanted to do pastoral ministry, but I assumed, I had to be kind of like older. So I figured I'll teach for a little while and then maybe I'll eventually pursue pastoral ministry. But then as I got to know a few more things, got to learn a little bit more, I realized you actually don't have to be very old to be a pastor. My only experience of a pastor, he was like in his 50s. So I kind of assumed that was like what you had to be. Like elder, is a term for pastor.
Yeah.
I assumed to be elder, you have to be elderly. Sorry, I'm not. I made a joke. Really, that's what I thought. So, anyways, Josh, I went there. That's what I studied, and I feel like the Lord really used it. The one thing I really regret is I did not join a church when I was at Bethel, and so when I graduated, it was like the like floor just came out from under me. Like all my friends moved away, all my community was gone, all of my, sense of self almost. And so if I could go back, the one thing I would definitely do different is get connected to a church. Just so you can be shaped by people who are older than you, people who are in different seasons of life, not just, constant, shaping and reshaping by people who are basically like the same life stage as you are.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Could you talk maybe a little bit about how you came to know Christ? When was that?
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up in a Catholic home, and like a lot of Catholic families, we went to mass every once in a while. Not quite just Christmas and Easter, but definitely not quite every day either. And I always had a deep sense that there was a God. Like I just could not fathom. When you look out at the world, I just could not fathom that this could all be an accident. Something can't come from nothing. There has to be an eternal something. But the idea of God, at least the one that I grew up is basically what you'd term deism. So God exists, but we can't really know anything about him. He's kind of distant. He's kind of far off. And oftentimes deism comes around because of what we see in our biological fathers. Your first experience of kind of a godlike character is your dad. And our dad left our family when we were pretty young. And so I kind of read that in to who God was like. So I kind of figured, I'll be a good person, try to be kind, try to do the right thing. And by and large, guys, I was. Like I really never got in trouble. Like I never, I mean, maybe some minor things here and there, cause some laughs in the class or something. But I never really got in trouble. Never drank, never smoked, never did anything like that. But because of that, I never really felt much of a need for like forgiveness. And so in high school, we were invited to go to a Lutheran church out in Afton, Minnesota. And it was there that I think I first really started to hear the Bible actually being preached and the gospel being explained. And I was given a Bible and I was shocked when I opened the Bible and it was like I could read it. I figured it'd be some like Shakespearean, English, some, like Latin for all I know. And I was amazed. I could actually read this thing. I could actually understand what was going on. Granted, not majorly in depth, but basic pieces. And so I'd say that year, I just soaked in that thing. A lot of stuff had been going on in our family that was just super messed up and super painful. And I was just in the season where I was asking a lot of questions. And the Lord, in his kindness, welcomed me in. Even though I don't think I really understood my sin, what I did understand was I needed God to be there for me. Because without him, nothing in life had any lasting impact. Nothing in life. People are so fickle, People change. People always let you down. But the Lord is always the same. And so I'd say he welcomed me in even when I wasn't fully understanding that I needed to be forgiven. My felt need was relationship. My felt need was love. And I'd say it was probably later on, maybe time at Bethel, maybe post-Bethel, where I understood, in addition to those things, I'm also a sinner, and I need a Savior to forgive me of my sin. And even though my sin hasn't manifested itself in XYZ, sin, whatever, the amount of pride I have, the amount of just junk, envy I have toward other people, anger I have toward other people, that's the stuff that started to become apparent. So I don't have like a moment. Josh, you asked the question, right?
No, that was Joey. But
Joey, you asked the question. Joey, I don't have like a moment that I look to as like, that's the day. That's the moment. That's the event. But it was somewhere in that season where God was just gently, slowly kind of bringing me in. And it was just clear that if this is real, like if God actually exists and he actually is who he says he is, and eternity is real, and this world is as temporary as the Bible suggests, then this means absolutely everything. And I need to reinterpret all of life in light of what this thing is. Prioritization needs to be totally reconfigured. What's valuable and fun and good and right needs to be totally changed. What the purpose of my life is, what my sense of a good day is, everything needs to go out the window and be reformatted according to this. It's an all or nothing thing. There's no in between. There's no 1 foot in, 1 foot out. No one does that at Disney World. No one says, yeah, I'm going to, just step 1 foot, 1 toe into Disney World, one toe out here. People go all in because they see something better, And that's by God's grace. That's what I was seeing in that season. I still see it. So yeah.
That's so cool. How did your family? Did they notice a change in you?
Yeah, gosh, that's a good question. I don't know. I've never asked them.
Mm.
It's tough because again, outwardly, like, I wasn't that, rebel, trouble causing individual, so I think outwardly, maybe some of those changes weren't as obvious. I think one major way of things changing is, have you guys heard of the term codependent?
Yeah.
You know what that term is, Josh? You know what that term is? The idea of codependency is this idea that if this person doesn't have me in their life, they won't make it. Like, they need me in order to function. They're like, and typically it's when people who are in distress. And so I grew up, with siblings and individuals in life that had seasons where things were hard. And I kind of developed this codependency, this idea that people need me. It's basically you trying to think you're God, right? But it's kind of cloaked in this idea of I'm trying to love and be selfless. But it really is, that's the core of it. I'd say the biggest thing that changed was when problems would show up, whether in my family or friends, I found myself able to breathe. Prior to that, it was like, I got to do something. I got to be there. I got to I got to help them. I got to save them. And I think becoming a Christian, I began to realize more and more like, no. They don't need me right now. Like, I'll gladly play a role. But what I need to do is I need to show them Jesus because he's the one that is going to save them. So maybe just a general, a more content, more secure disposition rather than always trying to run around and trying to be everything to everyone. And so I'd say that was probably the biggest outward change.
Yeah.
But by God's grace, as far as I'm aware, all of my family members have since then also become believers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So would you have like a lot of conversations with them about that? Like, did you play a big role in?
I mean, ultimately, obviously, it's God
Yeah,
who changes.
yes,
God.
of
And
course,
you
of course.
know that.
Yeah.
I'd say one of the most special moments, and I think she'd be okay with me sharing this. Granted, I know thousands listen to this.
Yeah,
but,
it's a lot of people.
But yeah, my mom became a believer in our living room not too many years ago. She was having some hard stuff in her life, and I got to read to her Romans 8 and just explain, hey, this is what the gospel is. She had grown up more in the Catholic Church than I did. So she had a lot more of that kind of works-based stuff still kind of in her bones a bit. And I don't know, for whatever reason it was, God chose to work in that, and she became a believer that night in our living room. And it was probably one of the most special moments of my life.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And she's borne fruit. Things have changed in her life, and so it's been really, really sweet to see that.
That's so cool.
So, yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about like high school, and we've talked about college. So I was wondering like what happened once you graduated, and like how did you meet your wife? Stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah. So I started going to church after Bethel, and now I had no idea what church to go to. Obviously, there's churches in the area. And I just remembered someone saying something along the lines of like Bethlehem, something. So I just Googled like Bethlehem and popped this church up in downtown Minneapolis. I was like, all right, well, go there. And I didn't know anything. So that was, for those who don't know, that's John Piper's church, and pretty well-known church. I didn't know that. I was just going to church. Well, anyways, Amelia, my wife, had been going there for college. They have a college there, and she was also a church member there. And I remember seeing her one day and thinking, I think that's the gal I'm going to marry.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had never thought that. I wasn't that kind of a guy. I didn't just walk around thinking that type of thing. So it's strange. So I was like, I got to figure out how to talk to her. Problem is, like, there was always just like a hornet's nest of other students around her all the time. All her classmates, and it's one thing to like approach an individual and say like, hey, I'm Mike, what's your name? But like, you can't just like walk into a group conversation and focus on one person. So I thought, okay, I don't know how this is going to work. Well, whatever reason, one day I bumped into her. It was the church was doing like an after church pizza event. So I showed up in this pizza line and she walked up right behind me and got in line right behind me. I was like, Providence. This is it. So I turn and start trying to have a conversation with her. And guys, she does not care at all. Like she like is borderline rude in this conversation. Like one word answers, not making eye contact. And my small group leader is watching the whole thing because he knows I kind of have a crush on her. And like she didn't want to have anything to do with it. She got her pizza. She started to walk away. I was like, wait, what's your name? And like she kind of just yelled like over her shoulder. She's like, Amelia. I was like, oh. Okay. And the small group leader was like, hey, how'd it go? And I was like, well, I got her name. And she went up to this guy, and I was like, oh, of course, this is like, this is her boyfriend, whatever. And anyways, so I thought maybe she has a boyfriend, whatever. And anyways, a couple more weeks went by, and I thought, there's one random Sunday where I just thought, this is going to be the Sunday I'm going to talk to her.
Oh, nice.
And so all week long, I was just praying, God, give me opportunity and give me courage. Give me opportunity to talk to this gal, and then give me courage to actually do it. So I show up way early to church.
Nice.
Like I'm really early. And I'm sitting there, I'm table, I'm reading my Bible, enjoying my time with God. But, I'm popping my head up every once in a while, looking around. And
Yep.
I don't see her. Church is starting, music's starting. So, hey, you know what? I don't need a gal to make me happy. I'm going to go worship the Lord. So I went and did that. Kind of refreshed after that, came out that I'm just going to sit here and read a little bit longer. And I stayed a long time. And the janitor's cleaning up and everything. And I was like, all right, I should probably get going. So I start walking out the door, and there's this elderly couple in front of me, and someone's holding the door for them. They walk out. I walk out right behind them. I turn to say thank you to the person who's holding the door. Well, guess who it is? And so I go, oh, Amelia! And she looks at me like I am insane.
Who are you?
And I realized in that moment, okay, I can change churches. I can make something up, or I can just kind of go for it. It's like, well, I'm just gonna go for it. So I was like, hey, remember me? We talked in the pizza line. I don't think she remembered it at all. Anyways, so we're talking, and I'm just dying. Like I'm sweating. Like, I'm getting nowhere. She does not want to have any conversation with me. I'm talking. Anyways, eventually, Pastor Bud Burke walks out the door. And now you guys don't know Bud Burke, but picture like this, 65-year-old guy. He is one of the sweetest, gentlest, like most holy people I've ever met. Like when you think about a guy who loves Jesus, this is the guy. Well, he had been mentoring me. And so he walks out the door and he sees me, he sees Amelia, and he puts his hand on my shoulder. He said, Mike, man, how's it going, buddy? It's so good to see you. Are we still on for our meeting next week? I said, yeah, bud, we're on for our meeting next week. He said, great. I can't wait to see you. We'll talk to you then. And I looked over at Amelia, and you could just see all of a sudden she was like, oh, he's not crazy. He's known by one of the pastors here. He's actually, and so you could just see the total change in disposition. So we talked for a little while, and I said, hey, it's kind of lunchtime, whatever. I don't want to just hold you here. Like, I want you to be able to go back and do your thing. And said, I'd love to like take you out to coffee sometime. I'll meet you at a coffee place. Didn't say I'd drive you. I just said meet you, right?
Yeah. Smart.
And she says, oh yeah, I don't think I know you well enough to do that yet.
Oh.
And I was like, yet. I don't think I know you well enough to do that yet. And so it's like, okay, well. And so I said, there's some chairs here. Maybe we could just kind of sit down and chat. So we chatted for like the next 2 hours.
Oh my
goodness. Yeah, we just talked. We ended up having a lot in common. But something weird was happening because one of her friends drove by in her car, kind of slow, and kind of waved at her, and then kind of waved at me, and then drove off. And then like 20 minutes later, the same gal came back, drove by, waved, kind of looked at me a little bit, drove by, and then she did it a third time. Well, come to find out, that's her roommate, and she's like desperately concerned in that moment that like I'm holding Amelia against her will, and she's got to like rescue her from this situation, this guy who's like, bothering her, and so anyways, I didn't know this, but she was living on campus, so the housing is right next to the church. So her 7 other roommates, while this one's doing drive-bys, her other 7 are like pasted against the window trying to stare at us to figure out what's going on.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow.
and so I find all that out later. Anyways, eventually, I took another swing at it, said, hey, now you know me a little bit better. I just want to ask again if you'd be willing to meet me at a coffee place. She said, yeah. So
Wow.
That's a great story.
that was kind of it. That was kind of it. And then Pastor Bud, he eventually married us.
Oh,
So,
that's so cool. 'Cause I was
yeah.
gonna say he's the hero of the story.
He
He's
is the hero.
ultimate wingman.
He is
right there.
He is, and in more ways than one of my heroes. And so he married us, and that was kind of sweet.
It's awesome.
So yeah, kind of fun. But so Amelia's maiden name was Amelia Widmark, and for the life of me, I used to always just get that flip-flopped. So when a lot of people knew her at church, not me, because she was a college student. So when I'd introduce myself, I'd say, yeah, I'm Amelia Midmark's husband. So some of my most embarrassing moments are introducing myself to fairly important people, saying that I'm Awelia's husband.
Well, thanks so much for sharing. I believe that you gotta get going, right?
I probably should. You got one more question, or what do you think?
Yeah, I do have one more
All right,
question.
Let's do one
Go
more.
for it, Joey.
Would you trust us enough to babysit your kids?
No.
What?
No.
Come
no,
on.
definitely not.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ah.
Honest to goodness. Yeah, definitely not.
Honestly, that was the first question I thought of
Really?
when I heard you on the podcast. I was like, in high school, we asked them, and I wanted it that
Yeah.
you were comfortable with us coming over to babysit your kids. It
Yep.
would be me, Mike, and Mitch.
Yep.
And you said no.
No,
And
I
you
said no.
And you
Yeah.
said no.
Yeah. We have a pretty high bar.
Okay.
A pretty high
Okay.
bar for the people who watch our kids.
Okay. Well, if we get you on another time,
Maybe.
will we get close to that bar?
It might get a little.
Okay.
We have a pretty cheap rate. We're only
Yeah.
$2.45 an hour. So
Yeah,
That's
not
in dollars. That's dollars.
$2.45.
I could just round that up to $3. Yeah, and we could that could be good.
Yeah.
I'll consider it. Okay.
Okay.
I'll consider
Okay.
it. So what you should do is you should just come over.
Yes, we
Yeah.
should.
You said we can come over for like
Barbecue.
barbecue sometime,
You have yet to
like
take me
last
up on
fall,
it. I
Yeah.
said it. Yeah.
and it's a year and a half later, and we
But-
still haven't
Year and
done
a
it.
half later.
But that offer still stands.
Still
Is that
stands.
correct?
Still
Okay.
stands.
All right,
Okay.
we'll do it.
So,
We will wait till it's nice and warm out. You can't have a barbecue in winter. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, you
we-
can.
No.
Wait, hold on.
No, you can't.
yes, you can.
Well, I mean, you can, but it's not. Is it a real barbecue?
Yeah,
Yes.
just cold.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind. Then just don't
Joey
listen to me.
stands corrected.
Yeah, you guys just plan this. I'll just sit here and watch.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Bring the microphones, Joey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we'll-
can do a podcast while we're.
We'll put a mic up to the sizzling
Yeah.
steak
be
and
great.
the
Yeah.
Steak.
All right,
Yeah,
sorry.
it sounds like hot dogs.
Sorry.
dogs.
Hot dogs. It's the first thing I thought of. Throwing it out there. All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
we
thanks for
want
having
to
me.
have you say bye to the people. So you just want to say thanks for listening to the 245 podcast.
Thank you all for listening to the 245 podcast. Tune in next week for whatever these guys are going to talk about.
Catch you on the flippity flip.
Hope you all have a great day.
Peace out, gangsters.